Anyway, so welcome everyone to another episode of Nexus Esports Edition, covering Smite again and also expanding a bit with the segment of the EU scene that I started covering. Thankfully, it's been ages that I've wanted to do this. So now, as our guest for the episode today, we have WristyUK. He is a YouTube content covering. He's doing a lot of gameplay with Smite and also casting as well. Risty, how are you?
I'm all right. It's your lovable Brit here.
Well, thank you for giving the time and joining us on the show, Risty. And before we go into Smite and your relationship with Smite and your work within Smite, what is your background in gaming and esports in general?
Well, esports in general, I really haven't had much of a background in it. Pretty much Smite's the only esports that I really kind of got into, and it was just kind of fell into place with like the YouTube content. I thought, ooh, maybe I could do this. I could talk, and I'd kind of know roughly what I'm talking about, so I kind of work it in that way. Gaming in general, I think I've always had my head on the screen. My mother always said to me, the worst thing I ever bought for you was that PlayStation. But before that, I had the NES, the Nintendo. That was brilliant. But yeah, once she bought that PlayStation for me, they never saw me again. So it was funny like that. Games wise, I used to play competitively Counter-Strike, the original one.
Yeah.
Back when it was like the Half-Life mod, so like 1.3, back when bunny hopping was around. Oh, it was great. It was a fun time. And then I was there for the birth of Steam. I hated it.
Really?
As soon as Steam come in and took over all the servers, I was like, nah, that's it, I'm gone. And I actually left for a while. I absolutely hated it so much. I went more into like the MMO sort of genre after that. I started into Star Wars Galaxies.
Okay.
Which was, MMOs back then was a grind fest. It
Yeah.
literally was just grinding, and it was fun to do. I liked it. It was more because there was a grind to get a Jedi, and someone said to me it was going to take you 6 months to get it. I did it in 3. I was pulling 18-hour shifts though.
Oh my God.
And then I eventually moved over to World of Warcraft. Did that for a bit, and then I kept moving around, different games here and there. Come back, did that and this. I did actually try other MOBAs, like I think Heroes of New Earth was the first thing that my friends tried to get me into. And do you know what really wound me up? It was all the clicking and the shop. It was so complicated. So when Smite come along, it was like the easy in between, because I'm so used to the third person perspective, moving around like that it was so much easier for me to use that and then learn the shop on top of that rather than everything at once. But with that being a great start point, I could then jump. I do a bit of Dota 2 now, but it took for me to play Smite before I could get my head around Dota 2, and that's pretty much where I am today.
Nice. So, when exactly did you first encounter Smite, and what did you think about it when you first played it?
I first encountered Smite. I got it. I'll plug him up a little bit. I got it from a bloke called Devilor or Law from World of Warcraft. He's also on like the Game Breaker TV.
Oh,
He's actually managed to get a job now with Blizzard, so lucky sod. So yeah, I watched it on one of his streams, and that was back literally just as it come out. I think was just it hit beta, so it was back. I even checked the date. I started my account. It was July 28th, and that's when I first seen it and got into it, and I went, I like this. It was really friendly as well. You didn't have, obviously the community wasn't that big, so you didn't get the idiots going around going, "What are you doing?" But there was a few here and there, but it was quite nice at the time.
nice. And what did attract you? I mean, you mentioned about, you coming from a CS background. I mean, being familiar with the third person perspective, but also having, dealt with MOBAs just a bit, at least with Han. What was about Smite that it was so appealing to you in terms of MOBA genre?
Attractive. It was more the fact that I didn't have to click everywhere. It's like precise clicking. It's the same with like StarCraft 2. I'm not probably the best with precise clicks. Well, I just don't practice. I'm used to controlling a character and focusing my focus through that character. So with the gods in Smite, you've got your character, you can see what's going on, and you maneuver that guy using the keyboard and mouse, mainly with the keyboard, with a few little bits coming from the mouse, but it's mainly the keyboard, which is where most of my control is, and that's where I get it from that way.
Nice, nice. Was it hard for you to sort of master the skills and, know well the gods and how MOBA sort of works?
I kind of knew roughly how a MOBA worked at the start, but I did pick it up quite quickly. The things that take probably the longest time was the shops and the other gods' skills. Now, the only way you kind of really knew what the way to learn God's skills is just get in there, just literally see what they do to you and go, okay, I better look out for that next time. And that's the best way to learn a MOBA. Just get in there, have a play, see what happens to you, and then go, right, I'll remember that from next time. So yeah, learn from your mistakes. That's also where we did an interview with Smitten where our fail things kind of work out for analysing the fails that happens during a game. If you sit back and look through your game and play it that way and then go, right, I messed up here, he capitalised on that and then punished me for it. That's where a MOBA comes in, just trying to reduce your mistakes and just get that way.
Nice. So, I mean, you're one of the first, or one of the few people, at least from the EU scene, that started, recording videos and uploading them on YouTube and making, those character playthroughs. In this case, God playthroughs of the Smite characters. How did that happen? I mean, were you planning on this from a while back, or it just sort of happened?
I wasn't planning on doing character playthroughs. Actually, I was planning on doing guides, but I overthink quite a lot of things. Like I do some reviews as well. Game review. Well, I've done 1 or 2 game reviews and a couple of first impressions. I also did my first set of videos was PlanetSide 2, like weapon comparisons. But it's all the presentation, the way I want stuff to look, and how it's perceived by the other players. I've done a couple of guides, and my how to play support was I literally did that out of frustration, kind of, just to kind of get it out there and go, this is how you're supposed to play support. Please play like this. So I just, until I've kind of got down the nitty gritty of like overlays, how I want to lay out the videos, because I've also done the Anubis one, but there's no overlays to it. It literally is just cut together a load of footage, spoke about how to play Anubis. Like my guides are, well, the only guide I've done actually for Anubis is a fundamentals guide that people tell me I need to put items stats in it, but I'm trying to stay away from item stats and more on how you should direct the character, move the character, use the skills, zoning, positioning, and stuff like that. So it's got more longevity. Otherwise, if you start putting item builds in it and certain little things, as soon as the patches start coming out, it starts to get dated very quickly. So I was trying to just get longevity, but the gameplay footage actually come about just purely because I needed filler content, and I needed, because my channel I wasn't uploading regularly enough to kind of satisfy what I wanted to do. So I felt that if I start, and it also gave me good talking practice as well, because when I would talk on stuff, I would struggle. Oh Jesus, you should hear me when I'm doing my script. Sometimes I'm trying to back away from the scripts. That I'll do like 3 or 4 lines and then go and then stop. So it also helped in my speech. You can also hear me sometimes when I'm doing stuff that especially with my casting, because I have to do them in one takes. Fair enough, I might fumble the start to do it, but when I'm doing the casting, you'll hear me all of a sudden just stop, and that's because my brain's just gone bang. What's going on? And I have to quit like a reset. So it's good practice for me, and just kind of get along with that. So yeah, that's how that all come about. The casting, I pretty much cheekily got hold of the casting Spectator Mode from High Res. I was saying I was gonna I did have weird ideas, like I'd want to do like tournaments and stuff early on, but then I didn't have the infrastructure to kind of do that and all the skills to set up websites and stuff. So I said to them I wanted to do like cast some scrims, matches and stuff like that, and I managed to get it. I was actually at work one day, got the text through, and I went, yes, got hold of it. They've given me access, and my mate was like, oh man, that's just bad. But then I ended up getting in playing it as well. It was quite funny. But yeah, that's how that come about.
Nice. And are you planning on any new content in on your YouTube channel related to Smite, or just expanding a bit more on the idea of your playthroughs and whatnot?
I kind of got into the YouTubing really for like guides as such, but there's so much work. Then I want to get into like reviews. I want to expand it. I don't want to have everything stuck into like all my eggs in one basket with Smite. Obviously, I love Smite. I love it, and I'll stick with it, and I'll be all over here. I'll be doing obviously my try and do regular casting and do content and stuff like that for Smite. I do want to kind of not get fixed into one game though, and I want to like get followers that follow for me and not just for like the one game that I do, and just try and get it like a bit more varied as such. I've set up a separate channel just for my casting, and it's like Wristy Smite. Well, obviously we can sort that out later on.
Oh yeah.
But I put that there because the way the replay system is at the moment is complete. I don't know. Wow, you could probably want to bleep out the rest of that.
Yeah.
But it resets all the time, and it's the most frustrating thing in the world, especially when I first started doing it. Because what I wanted to do is cast pretty much every match in a tournament. My voice kind of wanted to slap me for that and tell me, no, please rest. I don't want to do it. But the way I would have to do it is literally as soon as the tournament was finished, I would have to get on and try and cast every match. So like flat out for 2 or 3 days, I would try and cast all the matches, and I just couldn't keep up with the resets. So what I'm now going to try and do with that is just because it hasn't had any cast input on it for about a month. I'm going to put something on it next week though. Just cast like 7 or 8 matches. Hopefully if I can start getting that going, I can start getting people maybe to message me which matches they want casted, and then obviously cast the matches that people want. And then they could obviously, it's more like viewer controlled then, rather than me go, I need six or so matches. Because with the esports stuff, I actually don't watch any of the match. Well, I rarely watch any of the matches, purely because if I start casting it, I know what's going to happen, and it ruins it for me because I know what's happening and I don't get excited.
Oh right.
And then obviously when something happens, you should see me get up in my chair. I'm like, yes, go on. Sometimes it's quite funny. But yeah, if you know what happens coming on, you kind of direct the camera over there, and if you misjudge it, it then messes up it messes the footage up in a way that people, it makes it duller.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. I completely understand. Yeah, no, it makes sense. It makes complete sense. And now that you mention it, and you mention it a bit, and actually, I should ask you this because I have asked this before to previous casters. Is there anything about the spectator system of Smite? I mean, it's not easy to manage. I mean, there's a lot of key bindings, and it's not user friendly. I mean, you learn it, and you get your practice, and it's easy to use. But learning it's a bit hard. Is there anything from that system that you have qualms with still?
There's a lot of things. I didn't like. I'll give you a list actually. The speed, the speed bit where you can only now hold shift to increase your speed. Now my setup, I use a Razer Nostromo. Now I bought like a couple of Razer things. Well, obviously I got someone to get it for me for like birthdays and Christmas presents because I thought they were kind of good, and now I've gone off Razer. Just it's expensive tack. But I use a Razer Nostromo and a Razer Naga, so it's quite good to the setup. So yeah, if you do what I've got two scroll wheels. So I had one scroll wheel for just slowing the speed up and down of the camera, and one for zooming in and out, and it worked really well for me, and I could control it a lot. I also, the bookmarks they've got, they do you 1 to 0. Okay, so you've got 10 bookmarks, but the way I see it, I've got 12 buttons on my Razer Naga, and there's 12 towers. Now I'll set a bookmark at each tower, so it's roughly around each tower, so I've got then all the lanes covered if I need to quickly jump to some place and not actually have to click on the minimap, because sometimes that's a little weird. But yeah, I have to miss 2 towers off, so it's always the bottom right to the bottom right 2 lanes. So yeah, I leave them out. What else? Do you know what I really hate? Where they put the control bar, because it looks ugly where it is, and you can't get rid of it. A lot of people, if obviously you're working from replays and stuff, you put an overlay over the top.
Yes.
But if you're putting an overlay over the top, you then can't use the fully remove the UI function, because your overlays over the top of it then, and then you obviously have to go through and edit, and it just adds so much production time to go through and edit out. I spent like 4 or 5 hours. Well, I spent a while in After Effects setting up little kind of like movements for an overlay to do it, and I just give up with it now. They have added that you can remove the timer of it, but the fact that it's there on the screen annoys me. What they could have quite easily done is stuck it at the bottom of the overlay, pretty much where all the stats are kept. If it's stuck at the bottom, that means you can stick one overlay at the bottom of the screen. It's not in the way of everything, and then when you eventually drop the middle stats portion, you can drop that separately or remove the whole display. You're not going to have an overlay in the middle of the camera, and that's a few of my qualms. And they bugging me for a while. They have. There's another thing also, the isometric view, switching between that and normal view, very clunky. Well, it'll jump. You want to go somewhere, and it's not very nice. I did like isometric view for a bit, but I stick with the normal camera view now, give a bit more of a directed feel. Other than that, though, it's not a bad client. I wish you could kind of go up a bit more, where you can kind of get the view from the isometric view that you want to go up. So like for the rare instance that the fight gets completely spread out, isometric view is the only thing that can cover it. So I'd love for the camera to be able to go up as high as the isometric view. Then that way I can at least like pan out as the fight expands.
Dwelling a bit on the EU scene side of Smite, my question would be, how do you see the EU scene? I mean, do you see a difference in terms of gameplay between NA and EU at all?
I think the Americans are more aggressive. They seem. It depends on the team. We've pretty much everybody's kind of the same, but then all of a sudden you'll suddenly get like an American team with an EU team, and the American team seems to just be more aggressive. But that's obviously because I've been casting more American teams than I have EU, as I was only doing one kind of tournament. As I was saying, I was trying to do a full tournament coverage, didn't quite work out. So I casted a lot more Americans. Now, they always seemed more aggressive, but the EU teams seemed to be like more calculating, that they would hold tight and then find the right moment to just go for it. Now, I kind of play like that as well. I'll sit back, wait for stuff to happen, and then as soon as I see the slight little glimmer that I can take advantage of, I'll then go. So you'll see a lot of EU teams most of the time get pushed up to their towers. Well, at the start, or at least in the middle. Sometimes they'll get the advantage and push obviously to the North Americans' towers. But they've also had the issue with pings. Now, I didn't think it was that bad until all of a sudden lately I've been playing on North American servers, and I did Unher earlier, and oh my god, it was I'd miss half of his ultimate just purely because I was trying to follow someone, and it's like, everything's going round you. Stop doing it. Do you know what the world needs? Someone needs to build an island in the middle of the Atlantic and put a server hub there. Voila. That's what we want. A server hub in the middle of the Atlantic. Done. Problem solved. Everyone's going to have an equal ping then.
Oh.
But it's we're having. I can see, it's been a necessity that we're now splitting up kind of the NA and the EU teams. It is a necessity. I don't kind of like it, but I can understand where it's coming from. It needs, obviously, you need the teams to practice, obviously, with people of their own skill, without having to worry that one team's obviously being handicapped by a ping. So with now the segregation that's coming out, it's going to help the EU side kind of get up there, because what's happening is, a lot of the times, the way the seeding was going, the Americans would get the first seed, and it would kind of work in their favour for any new people coming in. And the Americans kind of dominated the scene at the start. Now the EU side's coming in, like Copenhagen Wolves have just kind of shot up there from nowhere. At first, they didn't even kind of score very well. Then all of a sudden, in that monthly, they just went bang curse, bang root. Where was it? What's going on? Just kind of annihilated them. It was funny. So now we're going to have an EU side. Everyone's kind of. It also gives us more places for teams in the top tournaments and stuff, and it just builds more of a community. Like, obviously, each side of the Atlantic, but then you've also split up a large part of the community as well. You've like. Yeah, nobody wants to play on a different realm server. So yeah, it's good and bad.
Yeah, that is true. And actually, when I interviewed Sprayer, and actually he mentioned that his feeling, at least personally, was the fact that, he wants to play with versus Curse. He wants to play against Root, and being split up right at this. It takes a lot of the excitement out of it, as well as a gamer, as a professional gamer. So I completely understand what you're saying, and it is good and bad as well. Let's see what happens. This is happening now, and let's see how it develops, and if it stays like that for a while and whatnot. I don't know what will happen.
Yeah, I can see exactly where it's coming from, because obviously you could be the best in the EU, but until you've beat the teams in America, you can't. You've got nothing really trying to relate it to, because it then artificially makes a different standard where one side can go, well, our teams are better than the Americans, or the Americans go, their teams are better than EU, and it kind of, there's like an artificial kind of barrier. Well, not barrier, just like. You probably get what I mean, what I'm trying to say, but yeah, it kind of does that. Fair enough. I think Smite or the high res are going to do their separate tournaments, and then they're going to do a seeded or invitational all together one, which will kind of work out in the end. But yeah, it's just the way it's going to be in it for a little while.
Yeah, that is true. And going more specifically to the EU scene. You mentioned Copenhagen Wolves. Is there anything that stands out for, I don't know, Copenhagen Wolves, SK Gaming, or BLG EU even, in terms of their gameplay style and whatnot? Or do you have favorite teams in the EU scene?
No, I generally try, as a caster, not to have a favorite team, as you kind of need to be not biased, but the other word.
Unbiased?
Unbiased, yeah. I did have a team. I was part of a team for a little while, and we went up against SK Gaming, and we got annihilated. But it was really kind of good for us, because our lane we'd lose. Well, we'd get both killed, but it felt really good for us that we would get them so low that if we probably got one or two auto attacks off, we could have killed them. So it was good that we was we felt that we were that close, possibly, to them. Our team play was crap at that point. We wasn't even really warding that well, but we at least give it a go. And it was kind of, I think there was another team that we went. Oh, there was another team, Pizza Gaming, that we went up against.
Oh.
But yeah, I went, oh, I'm going to try Arachne this game. I've never really tried Arachne. I'll give it a go. So we'd been up against like nobodies before that, and we was winning every match. So I thought, I'll just take Arachne and see how I go. Pizza Gaming turned up. Oh my God. We got jungle invaded by 5 of them at the red, and then it was just like, oh, God. But it'll be nice now that EU teams are kind of segregated, that we're going to have more EU teams. And obviously, I could probably focus 1 week on the EU side and then maybe go to the American side, and then kind of the thing with I kind of said to you about this before we started, that I'll cast a match, and then if there was nothing really, it was like a standard match, there'd be like a few good things here and there. I'll actually, as soon as I go to the next match, I would have completely forgotten it. Absolutely forgetting it. It's the same thing when I used to do like courier work used to drive. If I'm thinking about something as I'm driving, I then don't remember the last 5 minutes of how did I get around that roundabout or stuff like that. My brain doesn't seem to make memories as I'm thinking about something else. So when I'm casting, I'm trying to think what's going on, camera direction, items, possibly builds, possibly what things. I'm thinking about so much that I'm not then taking in, obviously, what's going on as well and remembering it. I still remember that 5-man Zeus pentakill thing. Oh, it was brilliant. I even said right at the start of the game, I went, if that Zeus gets enough items in himself, they get so overconfident that they can get taken out. And it even got put up in like a top 5 plays of the week. And I was like, I casted that. I knew it was going to happen as well. And it did. I was well chuffed to myself. I was really happy.
Oh, nice. Fair enough. And moving on to the, from the subject of the EU scene and going to Smite itself, there's a lot of, Smite hasn't been the same since, Smite is not the same a month ago from today, because, new patches are coming, and now with the new Fenrir patch, there were huge changes in gameplay style and whatnot. For instance, we have, the tier actives now and whatnot. How do you see the Smite journey itself, from the start to where this is it now? Do you think it's going in a good direction? Do you have any problems with how Smite is now?
It was getting to a problem with dashes, but then they got the crippling. Cripple's kind of there. I think it still needs tweaking in the effect. Now, I also love when new gods come in and people call it overpowered. I tell you what, for anyone watching this, you have not seen overpowered till you saw the Guan Yu release. That guy was unkillable. His cooldowns were 2 or 3 seconds. You just couldn't kill him. He could get out. He could get in, heal up, and while he's there, kick the crap out of you, and still get out and go, yeah, what? Come on, bring it. Absolute nightmare. I was looking through some old footage as well, and I was like, I really missed that fog and the doom and the dark look. But then I remembered when I was playing it, I absolutely hated it. I'm like, I can't see. Why does this fog have to be here? I can't see through the forest. So it's one of them ones that a lot of games have, that everyone's remembers the heyday of when this was there and that was there. And you then go, yeah, but I remember playing it. It wasn't that fun. I do miss the kind of outer jungle, but it did kind of make the map very large. Mm-hmm. But it did open up a lot of possibilities. Maybe if it was around now and they had the bigger map, you would probably have a few more options. But the smaller map kind of works for everybody. What else have we got that's coming? Yeah, the tiered actives is a nice idea. They had to do something because them actives were so cheap but yet so powerful. What else? I think I'll get in there before you actually ask me. The god I absolutely hate, and I hate with vengeance, is Ares. I absolutely hate Ares. Every time I see him in a lane, I'm like, no, just go away. absolutely go away. I hate how much damage he can put out with his chains. Now, as a tank, he can put out so much damage with his chains. Then he can bolster his defenses, so he gets increased defenses from each chain that he's hit you with, and then or each god that he's chained up, and then he can burn you down. And I'm like, some people say it's his viability, he needs the extra damage, but I'm sitting there going, he's a tank. If he needs damage for viability, you've designed him wrong. that's it aggravates me, especially with the cripple. If the damage in the cripple is so annoying because he can take you down over half your health, but then you also can't get away, and you're slowed. So all his teammate has to do is literally jump on you once. There you go, dead. 1 hit, bang. I like Fenrir because he's not as overpowered as not overpowered, as strong as Nisa. Okay. He was nice. I kept wanting to say she all the time. It was just like this little girly man. That's what it is. It's a girly man. Hello. Here, have a flower. But Fenrir's, everyone kind of, I hear everybody talking about his brutalize and how much damage it puts out. Now, I said in my gameplay video that I did of like the reveal for him, I feel his leap does more damage. It probably doesn't in a way with the Fury Crafters coming in, but the way his leap works is it hits hard, it's instant, and if you hit it on a god, it's half the cooldown, which is only 7 seconds. Brutalize in itself leaves you in a very vulnerable position because it's a chained ability. So all that happens is, especially, I always think Freya's like a hard counter. If you use Brutalize on Freya while she's looking at you, she has to activate one ability and bang, she will out damage you while you're doing Brutalize. It's just like, no. I love his ultimate though. It's fun.
That is true. Yeah, I was gonna ask you about, Fenrir as well, and is there anything that you would like to see in the future? Like maybe within the gameplay or any specific god that you would like to see changed for the future? Like if imagine if there was a patch coming and you had the power to shape the future of that patch within Smite gameplay.
Take Ares' chains away? I don't really know actually. That's got me a good one. Change in a way. No, it's. I think the Minotaur needs to be stronger. They've worked really well with that. The towers need changing. They don't do enough damage. After about level 10, it's like, I know me and Octane Pro actually moan about this. Well, I kind of watch his stream and play with him sometimes. He doesn't actually talk to me that much. But we have a little kind of tussle over the stream, but not too much. But no, it's after about level 10, the towers feel non-existent. And I just feel they need to do more damage, because you can have someone that dives under the tower and you're looking at it going, kill them, please. And you're running around the tower thinking, just juke it a little bit more. The tower's going to help out. And you turn around and go, it did absolutely nothing. Now, I know Hi-Rez have set all the towers and stuff that way, so the games are quicker. But I feel that they should probably maybe keep the health the way it is, but do more damage. So if you're going to really tower dive somebody, you're going to get hurt. Or at least scale the damage somehow. That's probably about what I would think needs to happen at some point. But we'll see what happens, eh?
Okay, fair enough. Well, that would be, wrapping it up, all the session of the interview. So what, before the sign off and whatnot, I have the segment for the fun questions. So, knowing yourself, Wristy, if you were a god in Smite, who would you be?
Odin, because he's badass. I remember back. I think before the jungle change and the map was shortened down, I used to play AD Odin, and I'd always pick Hog up, and I would always position myself past the opening, past the enemy's blue, and literally right behind them. So I would wait for them to go in and get the blue, jump in, hog, get the blue, come out, and just the people. That was when we had like specifics. Well, I haven't played rank in such a while, but we had like a specific ELO bracket, and you kind of got to know people. They knew I was coming as well. Every time they'd hunt for me. After a while, people learnt where I was coming from. But he's such a badass. He takes so much damage to kill, and he can put out so much. He's the best. I love him.
Nice, nice. And you already answered. You're right. You already answered my my follow-up question, which was, which god do you hate? But giving a follow-up again to that, what would you do if you had an opportunity to bring pain to Ares? What would you do to him so he would never come back again?
Oh, what you mean in the game, or
Yeah, in
just
the
like
game.
beat the crap out of him?
Or just beat the crap out of him.
I'd smash that shield. Just get rid of that shield. Yeah, I would. I'd get rid of him. It's just absolute. Oh, it's the chains that drive me nuts. Every time I see it, as soon as I hear that chain go out and it goes doof, and it's like, ugh. Because then you're also slowed, and it's like, I'm going to hit you again, just to make it even, just put the icing on the cake. Let's just go. So I just remove shackle, or at least if you're going to do the cripple in it, take out the slow. It's kind of a skill that does too much in my respect. I've always seen with the Smite gods, some of the packages or some skills used to do too much. There was a point where they did fix Cupid at one point, where the heart bomb would slow, stun, and do a load of damage. It used to drive me mad. Freya, I feel, also does a lot of damage early on, especially with her too. It seems sometimes too much, but at the start. But it's just kind of like personal things, obviously, where you go up against gods, and sometimes you look at them and just go, okay, we're going to be sitting under our tower for a little bit, unless you've got like an ultra strong god, or at least a teammate that's good. I was playing that, like I said about that ping issue I had with on her. I actually went 9 for 2 for 14 in that match, and that was purely because, well, I was positioning myself quite well, and because we got an early good start. But the Barcus I was with was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. He knew when to go in, when to block, when obviously to get out of the way. And yeah, it's a lot of people don't understand. I preach about it a lot in some of my playthroughs. You've got to understand your partner. Obviously, the support's job is there to protect you as a carry, also to help set up kills and disrupt the enemy. And you're there to obviously just you're the DPS. He's the control. You're the damage. The Neath ultimate, I said in my support video, I'm just like, if you see it's coming, block it. Please just block it. And I also say it takes 2 to tango, because obviously, as a support, you can try and block it. But if the carry keeps running away or running around, it's pointless, because you're never going to kind of sync up right for it. So people need to kind of keep an eye out for that. Yeah, I think that's about it on that question I can think of. Yeah, you see what I mean? I start going and then I just rabble.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It was fair enough. I mean, there were good pointers either way. So thank you for that. Anyway, we're at the end of the interview, man. So last but not least, any shout-outs that you wanted to give, and how can people follow you and check out your casting and your YouTube content?
Well, we've obviously got all of our kind of casters and shoutcasts. I want to give Octane Pro kind of probably more of the coverage he deserves. The guy does so much on his stream, and he does giveaways pretty much every time he streams, but it's all out of his own pocket, which you kind of got to give him a bit of respect for. He's also a good guy to kind of watch, and he does the Smite update with Dry Bear. We've got Smitten. Smitten's. She said to me that she's going to give me a bit of a shout out, obviously, when she does her content creators thing. But yeah, Smitten's good. I love the way she kind of does the fails. I think her videos have kind of changed from when it started. It was funnier at the start than it is now. but that's because she's gone more from these are mistakes, laugh at me, to more of a teaching role. But that's how kind of content evolves. I've got 2 channels. I've got my WristyUK channel, which is my personal channel, which hopefully will be will still be my main channel anyway. And I'll have Wristy Smite, which is my casting channel that I put all the casts on just purely so it doesn't kind of irritate anybody else that's following me for other content. So I keep it all kind of like contained there. I still have all my Smite footage, like gameplays and stuff, on the WristyUK channel. The other one's just purely for esports and casting.
Nice. Yeah. Oh, and your Twitter.
Oh, my Twitter. Yeah, that's at WristyUK. Yeah, I do kind of have a Facebook, which is WristyUK as well, like fan page. But to be honest, Facebook is a pain to deal with. Yeah, no. Not gonna happen. It's just I try every now and again. I'll update it, but at least with the way YouTube kind of uploads stuff, I can select it to automatically upload to Twitter, so I can do some statuses there, and also I'm always on Twitter watching stuff's going on. When it links to Facebook, it links to my personal page rather than the fan page, and it's like, but I don't want it on my personal page. I want it over there. So it's all kind of a bit broken.
Yeah.
Other than that, I've got some artwork coming in. Well, a new logo kind of coming up from my friend Karina. Karina. Do you know what? I haven't played with her in such a long time that now I spoke to her again yesterday. I went, I called her Christina yesterday. And she just went, no, it's Karina. I was like, she's doing my artwork. So when we get some of that done, I'll start to put some links, obviously, to a video for that in there. When I want to do like a video, obviously showing people around what I do, and obviously my setup here, and pretty much in the life of me. But I think I'm going to wait till I hit 1,000 subscribers. I don't want to do the Drybear does 100 every 100 videos, which is pretty good. But with all the stuff that I put out now, I'd hit it pretty fast. So I want to kind of wait, hit 1,000 subscribers, then obviously show me. I will be getting onto the camera as well when I do the reviews. So there's just extra things to have. So I do also, I've already said it in the interview before, but I do first impressions, kind of look at games that I have, and then hopefully once I get the ones that I already have out of the way, hopefully I'll start doing new ones as well. And I do game reviews, obviously, when I get the chance. I've got Star Drive in the works. I have a few others as well, like Little Inferno, some Warframe as well. There's just a lot that's kind of coming up, and I kind of have to just get on and work on it.
Nice.
I think that's
awesome.
For everybody, though. Yeah, that's for everybody. And you, Nexus Esports. Thanks for following me.
No
Thanks
problem.
for the retweets as well.
No, it's fine. I mean, we really love your content, and I think you're doing a good job. And it was nice to see, people from the EU scene showing up and covering Smite as well, and other games. So we got that to look forward to. So thank you. So anyway, guys, that's a wrap for the interview today. I'll post all the links that he mentioned right below the vid in the description, and also, as always, there will be time tags on the videos, so you would have an easier viewing of the interview. And I'll catch you guys later.